So my Click software is finished downloading. Okay, so I'm going to open it up. It says CD image. I'm going to extract it. And yeah, I'll just go and drop it there in my downloads. Okay, let's extract. Here, CD image. And we've got the application here. Click setup. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Install for software version 3.41. Next. Okay. I'm going to accept the terms. Go next. And install it there on the C drive. So yes. And install. And so it's off and running. So you see it's pretty quick. Create it, and I'm going to go and launch it. Okay. Click both of those there. So I say next. And we now install the USB driver. So make sure you do this. If you're going to talk to it on Ethernet, you don't need a USB driver, but that's not going to be our case. We are going to do the USB connection. Okay, so it's still working. All right, it's finished. That's it. They're down here in the corner. Can you guys see my screen there? There's the Click programming software. There it is. So I'm going to double click on that, and it's 3.41. So here we go. New in this version. Every time a new version comes up, says everything. Okay. I'll close that up. Now, what you'll do is you'll start a new project each time. Or you'll open up an existing project if it was something you were working on. Okay. So this is your programming environment, and you're going to learn how to work with all of this and what to do with this. And first thing you want to do is define your hardware. Okay. So we go up here to setup. And we can click on system configuration. All right. And I'm going to call this PLC, I don't know, C2-01. Okay. And we're going to that. And we say, okay, CPU. You come over here, select the CPU, and type in here C2, look for C2, C201 CPU. There it is. Provide you a picture of it and everything. Okay. So we select that. Now the power supply, we select, and you may have one of these two power supplies there, or if you don't, like myself, I've got an external power supply, right? So I'm going to go module configuration, and my output current on this is 2.6 amps. So I will type in there 2600. Okay. And then I say, okay, now look what happens. This is the power budget, 2600, and the CPU takes 110 milliamps. And if you start adding things on here and eventually overflow your power supply, you'll have to come back here and change your power supply to something larger. Now, the next one we're putting in there in slot 0. Okay. Now, look on that, and I've got a C2. So it's not letting me type on that. Or you can go digital output, input output, and there you go, C214D1. And there's a picture. It matches what we have. Let's say okay. There we go. Everything is set up and it's telling you where your address is. You've got input addresses of X001 to X008, outputs from Y001 to Y006. Okay. Now the GE had I's for the inputs and Q's for the outputs. In this case, we have X's for the inputs and Y's for the output. That's something that will change from PLC manufacturer to PLC manufacturer. But all you got to do is learn the addressing mode, and then everything else is the same. So we say, okay, we're good. Okay. Now this is your main program. We'll learn about subroutines, interrupts. Here's your address picker. Open that up. Okay. Now, like I said, the first thing you want to do is define all of your hardware, your configuration, and everything before you get going, before you do any programming. Okay. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say my X1 is going to be, I use all uppercase caps. Okay. Start 2. X3 is going to be stop 1. Stop 2. X5, I'm going to use my X5 as OL in, my overload input. Okay. Limit 1, limit 2, and extra 1. All right. Now, you notice here it says X9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We don't have any inputs connected to those, and so we just leave them alone. If we have other things put in there, they'll show up. Okay. Now, there's initial values over here that we can program, retentive we can program. We're not going to get into any of that right now. All right. And we can also go then and filter display only used. Well, nothing's used yet in the program, so nothing's going to show up. Okay. And we can do that. Now, I'm going to go over here and click on Y's. Y0. Okay. This will be, I'm just going to call these out 1, out 2, out 3, out 4, out 5. And you see I typed out 5 and it's saying, hey, this nickname's already assigned to an address, so I got to change it. There I go. Okay. These are all the various memory types that you'll have to work with. And we're going to get into that and everything. I'm just slamming at you guys right now. Okay. You've got coils, internal coils, timers, counters. Okay. The internal clocks. Those are really nice. There's data areas, double data areas, and hex areas. Okay. And it goes on down from there. But for right now, everything we're going to be doing is going to be an X, Y, C, T, and CT. All right. So we've defined all of those addresses and everything. That's good. Now what I'm going to do is I want to write a little program that every time I push a button, it'll make an output go on. Okay. So over here, these are all of your instructions you have to work with. So I'm going to take a normally open contact and drop it there. And I'm going to type, and it says, oh, that's not legal. Okay. So click on that. And I'm just going to double click on this. Okay. There you go. You see it labels it and gives it its address. And there's the coil right there. I mean, the contacts. Now I want a coil. And look over here, coil. I want an output coil. And drop that on there. You see it puts it over there. And I'm going to say Y1. Okay. And there you go. It puts it in the rung. So if those contacts close, that output will turn on. And we're going to do the same thing down here. Normally open contact, X2. And then a coil, Y2. And I'm going to keep going with the same normally open contacts. And say X3 in the coil, Y3. Again, X4. Y4. Keep going here. X5. Y5. Now, I only have one more output to go, but I've got input 6, 7, and 8. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say X6, X7, X8. I'm going to explain this in a moment. And then I'm going to come over here, drop that on there, and that's going to say Y6. Okay? What that means is limit 1 has to be closed, limit 2 has to be closed, and extra 1 has to be closed to turn this on. This is called an AND statement. This and this and this all have to be closed in order to turn that on. Okay? So now I've written my program. I got one more thing I need to do. Okay? We look for control and I look for an end. When I'm done, I got to drop an end in there. That tells the PLC to stop here and go back up on the top and start working on all of this. Okay? Now, before I go any farther, I'm going to save. Save the project, and we'll call this and these are CKP projects, okay? That's done, okay? Now, what you can do is you can check your work, okay? But let's go and do a connect. Here we can click on syntax check. Can do that. All right. And it finished with 0 errors and 0 warnings. Let me save you a lot of time. If you get an error or a warning, errors you must fix. Warnings you should fix. A lot of times I'll have students send me a program that says it doesn't work, I can't figure it out. I'll look at it. The first thing I'll do is a syntax check, and I'll see there's 5 warnings. And I go back and I say, you've got to go back and remove all the warnings. Okay? So we're going to come up here and we're going to connect. Now we look down here, and there it is, COM4 with the click plus. That's what I want. And you notice it corrected to the right cable. We're going from USB-A to micro USB. And if you want to make sure you're okay, you can click, blick ring it after I connect. Let's go connect. You're going to read the project from the PLC. If you want to lose everything you do here, you'll do that. Don't do that. Don't read the project from the PLC. Okay? Don't read the project from the PLC. Otherwise, you'll overwrite everything you just got done writing. You say, okay. So it's out there. Okay. Now it says disconnect. All right. So now what we're going to do, well, let's go do PLC information. Going to go out there and load it. Okay. and it sees what's out there. PLC status is giving us a warning. Okay, we're going to close it. Now I'm going to write the project. Okay. Now I got to go back here to configuration. There we go, user account. Thank you. Right where it's telling me, user account setup, okay? Disable the password requirements. Make sure you do that, okay? User account setup, disable the password requirement. So I'm going to come over here to program, PLC, okay? And then they repeat a lot of this stuff. Click on home, write project. Okay. The firmware is older. Please update. Do you want to update? Yes. Okay. All right. So okay, so I've got to change it. Reach over here and put my switch button from run to stop. Okay. You see on the top of the PLC, there's a run stop switch. It needs to be down in the stop position. Yes. Do not remove power. And you should only need to do this once. Okay, so it's uploading. I'm glad I did it this way tonight because now I'm going through every possibility that you guys could run into on your first time working with these things. Okay, one of the things as you're building your trainer, you get the wiring done and everything. But if you're not quite finished with the wiring and you have your PLC, you can plug it in, provide it with 24 volts, and start downloading and putting things in there. And I'll show you how to set your outputs and force your outputs and everything. And we are almost done here. Okay. Now, while it's doing that, let me talk about this class here on Friday nights. Everything you need for this class is on the modules. All of my lectures, all of the links to everything. And in the past, this class has been run completely asynchronous, and then people would show up on my office hours and ask questions. I had a lot of people asking questions during office hours, and so what I decided to do is to create a special 1 hour office hours for you. Okay. And I scheduled it that way, but I'm telling you, you are not required to show up here on Friday night. If you have problems, please show up during this time and we'll work them out. If you're doing fine and you're trucking right along, okay, but I'm not going to take attendance. I'm not going to take roll to see who's there or who's not there or whatever. And, it's, this is an hour of question and answers for you guys. Now, one of the things that I really like about teaching PLCs on Zoom is that I can take control of your computer and fix a problem that you might have. So I can take control of your mouse and show you, look at, you click here, you put this here, or you need to fix this here. And then back off, let go, and let you do it. Then everybody else sees that and learns from it. And the power in that is just, you can't compare the power in that with doing that in person. Okay. Okay, good. Updated successfully. All right. I'm going to hit close. Now we're going to write the project. Okay, we're going to put everything in there, write the project file into the PLC. You will make sure you want to click that. It's giving us the size and everything there, putting it in there. and we're going to say okay. Okay, the description for the start and stop and everything is in Address Picker. You go up there and click on Address Picker, and that's where you can write all your names. Okay. And when you choose names, you're going to have the names specified for you in the lab packet. But if you're writing your own program, you choose names that mean something. If I see X1, X1, X2, X2, X3, X4, that's ridiculous because it's a waste of space and it doesn't provide me with anything. But if I see X1, oh, that's a start button. Oh, that's start button number 1. Oh, that's start button number 2. Okay, that's starting to tell me a little bit how that button's going to function in the program. And you use those symbol names, nicknames, or whatever they want to call it, Address Picker, okay? These nicknames to mean something to you relative to the program, okay? Now, I'm going to click on Status, and bam, that's going to show up everything that's set up here, okay? Now, notice that nothing's changing on the output over here. That's because I need to come back over here and flip this switch back to run. It's now in the run mode. So this is a close button, and it means I've closed and I got power flow through it, and it's going to come over here and that output is on. Again, that's a normally closed button, so that gets power flow through it, and that output is on. These are normally open buttons that are connected to these inputs, and there is no power flow through this until I push it. And the overload input, it must be in the open position right now because there's no power flow through here. If I come over here and toggle it, you can see that I now have power flow, and then the output has power flow. Now, don't get confused with these switches being normally open and normally closed with your inputs being normally open and normally closed. What you are doing, you are operating relays. Now, I have some videos all about this and everything else to describe all of that. But essentially what I want to do right now is I want to go through here, push start 1, and I see Y1 going on and off. X2, okay, I see Y2 toggling, okay? So when I push it, the light turns on. Now in this case, since it's normally closed, it's already on, so I'll push it, and the output's going to turn off. Same here. Now this is toggle. Now, you notice that this light here is on because all 3 of these are on. If I push any one of them, okay, here's my limit switch, it turns off. Here's this limit switch, it turns off. Here's this button down here, it turns off. But I don't know which one it was. All I knew is that if any one of them go, you know, and so this might be like a safety loop right here. If that's on and that's on and that's on, then we're safe and we're good to go. Okay. But if any one of them break, we lose our safety loop and the system shuts down. Okay. So that's the monitor mode. You get this by clicking on status. All right. And that'll show you what's happening out there in your PLC. That's it for tonight, people. And so start working on building your trainers and getting everything all set up, getting the PLCs in hand. I noticed a lot of you were already doing that and everything, got them ordered. Okay. Now, just a real quick to give you an idea what we will be using. We'll be using all of these contacts here. We'll be using compare, which are relationals. Outputs, we'll be using set, reset. We'll be using timer, counter. We'll be doing math. You can do shift registers. And we won't get into call these down here, okay? but pretty much everything from here above we'll be using.